Welcome to our journey through British tank designs. As World War I dragged on, Britain recognized the need for greater speed on the battlefield. Enter the Whippet Tank, developed in 1917, a swift alternative to the heavier tanks before it. Measuring about 6 meters long and weighing approximately 14 metric tons, Whippet brought mobility to mechanized warfare. Armed with 4 7.7mm machine guns, it wasn't divided into male and female variants like earlier models. Powered by two 45 horsepower engines, it reached a top speed of 13 km per hour, making it the fastest tank of its time. Life inside was still challenging, cramped and noisy, but Whippet's debut makes a pivotal shift, demonstrating how speed could transform armored tactics. In Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks, I'll be recreating the great tanks of history. Join me as we test drive these historic machines. So this is the Whippet. As you can see, he's a bit faster than the previous ones. I don't know if he's faster than our Mark 1, but technically back then he was way faster. Like, the official name for this is the Medium Mark A. It was called Whippet because it was pretty fast. Well, if you compare it to, other tanks, then yeah, you could say that he's pretty fast in comparison, especially other tanks at the time. He's also much smaller. Oh my god, the engines are barely handling this. Yeah. This little bad boy has 4 Hotchkiss machine guns, 303s. So its main role was to actually support the infantry, not really to go against other tanks. In fact, pretty sure that if this thing saw like a Mark IV on the German side, it would not have a good time. If you're wondering why the Germans would have Mark IVs, well, they were the second largest user of Mark IV tanks. Because apparently, whenever, the Germans won on the battlefield, sometimes they would actually, see actual tanks without any, without any personnel in them, right? So they would just take them, like, completely empty, and they would just take those. So yeah, they ended up just using a ton of them. They would switch out the weaponry, so it would be like the same as theirs. Mostly like artillery pieces, machine guns, and so on. Because, they can really get British weaponry. And they would just do that. So another thing is that this bad boy had a bit of an issue when steering. It was a bit more complex, and you required like coordination of both engines. So each engine was handling one of the sides, so there were like 2 engines on this thing, 45 horsepower each, with a total of 90 horsepower. And oh my god, it can't go up here. Really? It should be able to. Come on. Yeah, there we go. It's odd because this is supposed to be a much faster, and well, maybe it doesn't have as much traction or torque as the other ones, I guess. So that's probably it. Oh. And because it doesn't have much space inside, the crew of this thing was like 3 people. A driver, a commander, and a gunner. This thing has 4 weapons, so what's up with 1 gunner for 4 weapons? Well, I'm guessing the commander was also helping out a little bit. And keep in mind, they also had to know a bit of, you know, mechanics, because they had to be able to do maintenance on these things by themselves. It was roughly 6 meters in length and 2.6 meters in width, 275 meters in height, and weighted roughly around 14 tons. It could operate for about 8 hours on a full tank of gas, and you know, it had a decent operational range for rapid advances if you consider this thing quick. Oh my god, the amount of nasty fumes coming out of there. And yeah, this thing saw its first action in March 18th, 1918. Those of you who don't know about that, during the German Spring Offensive. And yeah, it was used by a lot of other countries eventually, like even Russia used this thing. It played a notable role as well in Battle of Amiens. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Amiens? In August 1918, which allowed for the Allies to have quite a bit of a breakthrough. And yeah. Oh yeah, and as you can see, it was actually the first model to not have, well, the first main model to not have rear steering wheels. Like the Mark II and Mark III, and even the Mark IV, there were a couple of models of those with them. But eventually, they were just switched out to not have any. So let's be honest, like, you can just do everything without extra points. You can actually do everything without it. And yeah, this ended up actually impacting tank doctrine quite a bit in the future. Like, pretty certain this is the whole reason why light tanks became a big thing, even though this is a medium tank. But I'm pretty sure it is the reason why mediums and light tanks end up becoming far more invested upon, especially by like you know, Germany and Russia eventually. If you look at it, you also can see that it doesn't have a rotating turret. It's a fixed superstructure on this, and we'll only actually see the rotating turret after the war ends. So yeah. Also, several of these were captured by German forces, so they also ended up being used by Germany in World War I. Yeah, turns out the Germans really liked the British engineering. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time, where we'll be talking about the Mark V, I guess. We'll see what comes up next. Anyway, bye.